All right, guys. Looks like we're live. Here's is what we've got for tonight, guys, folks. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. This time, but tonight will be real different. Tonight we shall be ranking each and every movie that is based that Sam Raimi directed that is focused on Spider-Man, starring Tobey Maguire. Yep, be sure to like and share the stream. Hi Andrew Wertner. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I could also. How good are you with scores? Because tonight I have some things to do with my guests. Mostly involves ranking the Spider-Man movies. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Sean Franklin. I hear from the Devil May Cry. Yeah, speaking of the devil, Sam Raimi directed horror movies just before he got approached by Sony to direct this incredible trilogy he helped bring to life in the 2000s with Tobey Maguire as well. Yeah, yeah. Waiting for my guests to arrive first before we even start. Meantime, let's bring this up. And here we are. Now, from what you can see here, guys, we are going to rank each. As soon as some of our guests arrive, we are going to rank each and every one of these three things based on. Hi, Roadkill. Hey, thanks, guys. Be sure to hit like and share the stream as well. Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, I'm looking to wait for some guests to arrive on panel. Yeah. Evening, King. Evening, King. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
And
I can.
Pouty's on our way. Wonderful. Wonderful.
All right.
Yep, I've been trying to get a hold of her for since since May. But hey, at least she'll finally be coming. She'll be joining us soon.
All right.
Yeah, this is a stream I've been holding on to for months since January. Yeah.
Dude, I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. It's a
Yeah,
shame
me
that. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, me too. It's a pity they never bothered to help but he never bothered to continue after what he's been through with Venom and everything in Spider-Man 3 and how he had it executed under so much pressure from the studios.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 in reality was supposed to be Spider-Man 3 and 4, but it's separate movies. They merged two movies together. And that's why
That makes yeah, I figured. That makes perfect sense.
cuz the problem is it's the same reason with Batman and Robin, right? In reality, Batman and Robin should have been two movies. It should have been Batman and Robin Part 1 and Batman and Robin Part 2 because there was too many villains. It's when you put too many villains in a movie,
Yeah,
it's going to be too much for the audience.
that's exact. You make excellent point.
The only reason why, and I know this is kind of getting off track a little bit with the Batman reference, but I'm also going with the Spider-Man reference recently with No Way Home, right? The only reason why that was good, um, because it was other Spider-Men from different movies as well.
Yep,
So it
and other
wasn't that
villains they
confusing
fought.
because it was their villains too. It wasn't like Tom Holland fighting all the other villains from the other Spider-Man universes, right? He was facing his own with the other two Spider-Men by his side. So it was okay. That was the exception to the rule. As long as it was like more, if it was a team movie, then you can get like more than another person. So if it was 3 or 4 people fighting other villains, and you can get away with that.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Spider-Man 3 should have been Spider-Man 3 and 4.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And I don't
Clearly.
blame Sam Raimi. He had his hands tied because they probably told him, if you don't put Venom in the movie, we're firing you as director.
Yeah, I know.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, these studio execs were too greedy, banking on Venom just for being an evil doppelganger of Spider-Man. God.
Yep, that's what they that's why they hired Topher Grace, because they didn't want the jacked Eddie Brock. They wanted, in reality, they wanted an evil.
Oh, your speaker thing. Your speaker. Your speak. Are you able to check the audio? Oh my goodness. Hi, peepers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, hang on, folks. Our guest will be back. He just needs to get things settled in first before we can start ranking the films on each of every merit. And I gotta give him credit too. Thank you, Andrew Werner. Thank you. Wonderful. All right. Let's try again.
All right, take two. Take two.
Yep. Take two. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, in reality, Spider-Man should have been should have Spider-Man 3 should have been split into 2 parts.
Yeah.
But
That's what I.
but Raimi had his hands tied, and they threatened to fire him, so he had to do what they told him.
Yeah. Such uncivilized animals the executives were pressuring him like that.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think if he had it his way, he wouldn't have that much villains in there. But I think Sony thought that this might have been the final Spider-Man movie, so that's why they pressured him. Because how else are they going to have different toys? And also, from the executive's perspective, right? What's other than subtle differences, right? What is the difference between Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 3 before he had the Venom suit? Not much of a difference, just slightly different, details to the costume.
Yeah, that too.
They, with the exception of the pro wrestling / luchador outfit, every Spider-Man costume up until the Venom suit was practically the same.
Yeah.
So I understand from a corporate perspective, they were like, we need a different outfit for Spider-Man to sell for toys and for the video
Yep.
games.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they didn't explain it that way to Sam Raimi. They just threatened to fire him.
Yeah. Yeah. They are ungrateful and impatient.
Yeah,
So
because to
impatient.
them, yeah, go ahead.
No, you continue.
No, they were so impatient, man. It just sucks that like they think making a movie is so easy and quick that you could just with a snap of a finger you just have a movie, and it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Also, I know technically this has nothing to do with the movies, but I love the tie-in games that came with the movies because it kind of expands it a little bit of the storylines of the
Yep.
movies.
Yeah.
And so I liked Spider-Man 1, the game. That, besides the movie, the video game, I have fond memories of that.
Yeah. Same here.
It was a fun game. The only thing I didn't like, and to be fair though, this was them trying out the PS2 hardware, so they weren't 100% sure. Was the open world sandbox aspect wasn't there until till Spider-Man 2, the game.
Yeah.
It was literally a platformer. That's all it was.
Uh huh.
Um, and it's understandable because they were making they were new to doing it because I believe the people who worked on the game, um, I think they were the same people who did the Spider-Man PS1 games. If
Uh
I'm
huh.
not mistaken, they were the same people. And originally, Spider-Man the video game, the movie video game, that was supposed to be Spider-Man 3.
Uh huh.
So when they found out they were going to do a movie adaptation to it, they had to change it to the movie.
Wow.
Yep. And Toby was not going to voice Peter / Spider-Man in the game. Toby Maguire was not going to voice him. It was
Yep.
it was originally Josh. Oh my god, I forgot his last name. The guy who did I
Eden.
think Eden, right?
Yeah.
Whedon. He
Oh, we.
was it Josh Eden or Whedon? I'm sorry. I'm not.
No,
He did.
I don't
I
know.
think he did Spectacular Spider-Man, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
Keaton. Yeah, Josh
Yeah,
Keaton.
Josh Keaton. Josh Keaton. Yeah, Josh Keaton. He came out recently in the interviews, and there was speculation, according to the people who made it, that originally Josh Keaton did both roles for Peter Parker and Harry, right?
Uh huh.
Osborn. It's like no, that's not true. According to Josh Keaton, is that Keaton he said in an interview that he was gonna do Peter Parker only, and
Huh.
that and according to game files like data miners like and his own words himself, the dialogue from Peter / Spider-Man is the same dialogue. So Toby's lines and Josh Keaton's lines were the same, except for the redubs when he's just said, "I'm Harry Osborn" or "I'm the Green Goblin."
Oh, yeah.
It's the same dialogue because if you notice, they sound almost exactly like what Spider-Man would say. His
Uh
verbal
huh.
quips and stuff,
Yep.
it's the same. And unfortunately, that version of Spider-Man is of that game of him as Spider-Man. It's technically lost media unless
Yeah,
somebody
it
can
did.
find an alpha or beta copy leaked on the internet. We're not gonna have the full dialogue of him as Spider-Man.
Yeah, that
But it was
too.
cool to play as Green Goblin, though. To be fair, it wasn't Norman.
Yeah, it was Harry.
It, it would have been cooler to play as Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, but him saying his own. But I get it. They didn't want to spend extra money with Willem Dafoe, so they're like, you're just gonna be the antagonist. We're not gonna do dialogue for you to do another game." Because if you notice, in the game, the only cutscenes that involved a person was Spider-Man as the main character. Green Goblin was not in cutscenes, so it was very janky. If you notice that.
Wow. Yeah, that too.
I like that it kind of foreshadowed Spider-Man 3 in a way.
Yeah, that was cool.
If you think about it, that's the game kind of it foreshadowed Spider-Man 3 the movie. Of a new
Awesome.
goblin, which by the way, what do you think about that, Sergeant? Like why they didn't give him a name? It
Cool.
wasn't until media stuff or like video game stuff that they gave him New Goblin. He wasn't even called Hobgoblin.
Yeah, I know. That was very awkward. Hi, Bootzilla.
Hey, Boots.
Yep. Now, now, if anyone is interested in joining us on panel 2, let us know.
Yeah,
But we'll,
Boot. Come
yeah,
on
but we're
in.
gonna, yeah, but we're gonna, but yeah, one at a time. We got to make sure Pouty's able to make it on in time.
Of
Let,
course.
yeah,
Yeah,
can't
this
lock her
isn't the
out.
Price is Right. You're right. This isn't the Price is Right. You're right.
Yeah. So if you're still in the chat, Bootzilla, stand by. I'm gonna, I'm gonna send you an invite. Yeah. Let me. Yeah. Hang on, Bootzilla.
Also, another thing that was weird in Spider-Man 1 the game was like Harry's outfit is literally Norman's outfit. They didn't even change it at all. And you never have his mask or helmet off.
Yeah.
So it's literally they were late. To be fair though, this was the early 2000s, right? They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to have you play as Green Goblin. They could have just said no, right? They could have just it could have just only been Spider-Man. So in a way, it kind of makes up for it, even though it's kind of lazy.
Uh huh.
So at least we kind of had Hobgoblin or the new Green Goblin, as they call it in the game.
Yeah. Just gotta send Bootzilla a message if he's still with us here in the chat. Yeah. I mean,
Also, another person that was in the game besides Willem Dafoe and Tobey Maguire was Bruce Campbell.
yep. Sam
He was.
Raimi's first and favorite.
I like that. Yeah, he's Ash from the Evil Dead, man. That's the connection right there.
Absolutely.
You know, so him being there in pretty much every Spider-Man movie and Spider-Man movie video game is pretty cool. I like that. I like
Yep.
the idea that I like to think. I have this theory though. I always have this theory that that Bruce Campbell was God in that universe for the Raimi verse. He was God or an angel
Uh
because he
huh.
gave him the name. He was always there for certain moments for Peter Parker. Think about it. He gave him the name Spider-Man.
Yeah, he did in the
He
when
gave
he
him
was in
that
the.
name. He was like, "I'm the human spider." No, you're
Hello there.
Spider-Man.
Welcome, welcome, Kawil. Welcome, Kawil Cruz Ramirez.
Hey, Coel.
Yeah, and evening, Negress. Yeah, we're about. We're just going over much of what there is to know about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies before Pouty hops on. Then we'll be ready to start ranking the film stuff. Ah, thanks for coming back, Ann. Be sure to share the stream, guys, and have the dualies get a hold of this too. Yeah, they'll like to see this. Yeah, they'll love to come see just how proud we are of doing streams as well.
You know what I'm bummed about the first Spider-Man game, besides it just being a regular platformer and not sandbox.
Yeah.
Kraven the Hunter was not in the PS2 game.
Yeah, I know. He was only in PS3.
Tech,
Scorpion was.
well, he was in Xbox and I think GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. Like for Spider-Man 1, Kraven, he comes back for Spider-Man 3. But I'm like, come on, man.
I know.
It's ridiculous. Like Craven was only in the Xbox version of the game. I guess there was some exclusivity deal, or maybe the PS2 couldn't handle a lot of characters or missions at the time. Because remember, it's new hardware.
Yep.
They didn't know how to handle it. Because you have to remember too, like various games had to scale down really bad. Like Simpsons Road Rage.
Yeah.
They thought that they were going to have a bigger game. It was basically going to be Simpsons Hit and Run before Hit and Run, where it was going to be more open world in that world. But they realized that the regular PS2 couldn't handle that. Only the dev kit versions could handle the version that they wanted to be released. So they had to cut portions of the city out. So that probably explains why Spider-Man 1, it couldn't. They weren't able to make it full functioning sandbox game.
Yep.
I did like
Yeah.
that they had Toby voicing Peter though in Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too.
And Willem Dafoe. They didn't have to do that, but they did anyways.
Oh yeah. Because they want to make sure that they're the actual characters,
Yeah,
not someone else.
yeah, because I felt that maybe it was a bonus in their contract or something, or like you said, maybe their ego is like, I don't want some knucklehead portraying me in a bad way, doing a terrible impersonation of me. And I'm thinking of like for Willem Dafoe and Toby to be in their mind, because you gotta remember they are actors, right?
Exactly.
They're classic actors. They're like, no. If somebody's gonna do a version of me, it's gonna be me.
Absolutely. And William Dafoe is by far one of the best Marvel cinematic villains of all time.
He is.
Way more sinister and way more badass than Thanos when it comes to him being a life taker of sorts.
And
How are you
even
doing,
Magneto,
Draconis?
even Magneto. I like Magneto from the X-Men Fox movies, but it's like, dude, Willem Dafoe was just batshit crazy. He was insane. He was insane. Like
Definitely.
if he had to get rid of Spider-Man, meaning that he had to kill his own son, he would have done it just to kill Spider-Man. Because
Yep.
remember, that's not Norman Osborn anymore. It's the Goblin Serum. He
Right.
lost his humanity. He's to him. He's just a random.
Hello, Boots.
Hey, Boots.
Probably getting things ready.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but I remember people were saying that.
Hey guys,
Hey,
can you
what's
hear
up,
me
man?
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can
hear
hear
ya.
you.
Good, good. I am going to be on mute because I just got through working out, so I'm gonna step in the shower. I'm not, I'm
So
not trying to get too personal or anything.
Oh,
no, it's
no
okay,
worries.
dude.
I'm
Take
just,
your time.
but I'm gonna rejoin right after that. So,
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
okay,
No problem.
talk to you guys in a bit.
All right, talk to you in a bit. Yeah. So like, the Green Goblin, the suit. People didn't like the suit back in the day. I'm like, dude, this suit looks awesome. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's way cooler than that of the cartoons.
I'm sorry, the cartoon and the comic books, like I get what they were going for, but Willem Dafoe himself, there like people say that, oh no, the prosthetic for the Goblin mask didn't work properly or didn't look good. No, that's the cover story, right? Because they didn't want to hurt Marvel's feelings, the comic company, right?
Hmm.
No,
Right.
Willem Dafoe said, "I'm not wearing that shitty mask. I don't want to look like a fucking Halloween costume." Right? That's his words. He's like, "I don't want to look like I'm a cartoon character or a Halloween character."
Yeah.
That's what he said, and I get it. Like, He looks menacing in that outfit. It's like, yeah, it looks like a Power Rangers villain, but that's the point.
Yep.
He's supposed to look scary, but not in a ha ha ha. Look at that Green Goblin wearing that weird outfit.
Right on.
Yeah, because I saw behind the scenes footage of them using that weird goblin look. Because originally, in Spider-Man 1, Norman was supposed to do a slow transformation, kind of like the Hulk, but worse, right? With Hulk, it's
Yeah.
instantly. With Norman, it would have been a slow, basically like the werewolf or vampire thing, where they slowly turn.
Oh yeah.
He would have
Yeah.
he would have ended up like that. His skin would have finally turned green. His ears would have been pointy. His eyes would have been yellow.
Right on.
But Willem Dafoe was like, "Nah, this is stupid."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, we're not doing the supernatural stuff. So why are we gonna do this silly stuff?
Yeah,
we're
you
not
know.
we're not dealing with Blade. We're not dealing with Doctor Strange. Why are we doing supernatural stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
And I get it. Like I actually like the suit. I know people that were super fans of the comics and the cartoons didn't like it, but it's like they're trying to do their own thing. And what I remember the most of that movie besides Spider-Man was the Green Goblin's costume. And him having that evil laugh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's a shame they didn't have Defoe wear that mask all the way through the No Way Home while donning purple on his armor.
I didn't like that he broke the helmet. That's how you know that like a lot of the so-called super fans were meddling with the product. Because they made it into a bad thing. Like, why was it a bad thing that he wore the helmet mask thing? That
Yeah.
made him look sinister.
Exactly. More sinister
That's
than
the
the comic.
point. That is the point. He's supposed to be scary. He's not supposed to be goofy funny.
Right.
And,
That too.
and I didn't like that in Spider-Man 3, Harry didn't don the helmet. Even though they teased it at the end of Spider-Man 2.
Uh-huh. Right.
So why would you not do that?
Yeah.
It's clearly obvious that in the original version of the script for Spider-Man 3, he was going to wear this or almost wear the same outfit as his dad.
Mm-hmm.
But
Definitely
people
the same.
but the meddling, oh no, the costume looks stupid. It's like, no, it doesn't. It looks scary.
Exactly.
Not like scary in the horror movie sense, but like menacing, like oh my god, who is this guy in this outfit? He has to be crazy.
Yeah, kind of like this.
Yeah, that was the test costume, and they were gonna use the animatronic with the face,
Ugh.
but it's hard to emote with that. And I honestly believe Willem Dafoe's like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
Yeah, and they had to think fast before he left the project, so they decided to start using motion capture and stuff to as well as the others as well as a different suit to, and generate the face to the helmet as well.
Yeah, because they had to do that. Like I think the armor aesthetic was his idea. I partially at least.
Yep.
And I'm for it. I actually think that it fits with that outfit. Also in Spider-Man 1 the game, the movie game, I have to say that cuz there's so many Spider-Man 1s. Can you believe that, Sergeant?
Yeah, I
There's the
know.
PS1 Spider-Man 1 and then there's the Marvel Spider-Man PlayStation games, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
so confusing that with Spider-Man 1. So I have to say Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie the game 1.
Yep.
There is so
Exactly.
many. Oh, it's so confusing. But anyway, in Spider-Man the game, there was a. They said that it was a person that worked for Oscorp. You know, the black outfit with the black goggles that was bald, right? I think that was one of the prototype outfits for Norman to wear in the movies.
Mm, really?
Because it looks similar to Green Goblin's outfit. The only difference is that he's not wearing the green mask, right? He's
Right.
wearing the black. It's the same suit, just in black.
Yep.
It's the same costume. So I think that they were thinking of, like, when he first appeared, he was going to wear like the black outfit with like a hood over his head, and then he was going to wear the Green Goblin outfit later.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if the fact that the game company got that design with this Oscorp employee wearing the black goggles with the Green Goblin outfit but in black, I think that was a prototype outfit. I'm not saying he was going to wear it in the whole movie, but he probably would have worn something similar to that during his first outing with a hood over his head or something.
Exactly.
So basically, kind of similar to his No Way Home look, but just in black.
Exactly.
And kind of like Gwen from Ben 10, the future, Ben 10,000 universe. Basically put like a scarf or something over his nose/mouth.
Right.
Something similar to that. It still looked cool, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mary Jane Watson. Fun fact.
Yeah.
The actress who played her, Kristen Dunst, she is actually a blonde.
Yeah. But
She's
she
a
nailed
natural
it.
blonde. But she nailed it, though.
Yes. That's correct. Yeah, she's quite charming one too.
Yep.
Back in her day.
I don't think she was originally casted for, like, I think the studio, Sony was looking for other women to play Mary Jane, and I think they didn't want to be involved. Because you have to remember, back then, superhero movies were either hit or miss, so it could make or break your career. Look what happened with Batman and Robin. Look what happened with the guy who played Robin. He didn't do well after that.
Right.
The actress who played Batgirl, I don't remember any movie she did after that. The only one the only people that got out unscathed was
George Clooney.
George Clooney and Arnold.
Yeah.
For a couple years, what's her name?
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman, right? Or Uma Thurman. She wasn't in movies for a while. She was doing indie stuff. She wasn't doing mainstream movies.
Right.
It wasn't until Kill Bill that she got her reputation back.
Right.
So that hit her career pretty bad. So Arnold and George Clooney were the only actors in that film that didn't get hurt. They just kept doing projects. But everybody else, their career suffered. Uma Thurman, luckily for her, time has passed and she was able to be the bride in Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. But yeah, so even the movie The Shadow, was that with Bruce Campbell? No, that wasn't with Bruce Campbell.
No idea.
You know the superhero that wore purple? The Shadow?
Oh.
Not the Shadow, I'm sorry, the Phantom. The Phantom, sorry.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, the movie didn't. It wasn't hurt. It was not good enough for people to know about it. It's obscure.
Right.
The only superhero movie that was well known in the '90s, besides Batman and the other, the X-Men one, was Zorro. Even though he's technically not a superhero, he's a hero, but he inspired superheroes. He wore a black outfit or a dark outfit, kind of like Batman did.
Yep.
He helped people. So outside of Zorro, and it sucks. We were gonna get a Superman movie in the '90s. Remember with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, but they shut it down because of his looks and because they had a rocky. The execs had a rough relationship with Burton.
Yep, and not only that, but Kevin Smith got fired from the project.
That too.
Tim Burton fired him because he wasn't his writing staff member.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's. I feel bad for not Tim Burton, Kevin Smith on that, because he thought him and Tim Burton were going to be partners. Nope. Only for Tim Burton to say, "Look, you don't fit my style. You gots to go."
Yeah.
And to this day, he still hates that. He has a grudge against Tim Burton. I don't blame him. Because, dude, like this is the guy who did Batman 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like up until that point, right? Superhero movies, like outside of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies and the Batman TV show, it was treated as a joke.
Yeah.
It was literally, it was either product placement for kids, like short films, like basically to get kids to go watch like basically Mickey Mouse or Looney Tunes cartoons in the theaters, or any Disney movies that was live action or whatever, like stuff like that. That's all it was. Outside of like the George Reeves Superman show from the 40s or 50s, you didn't have that.
Right.
And Burton made it. And I'm saying this, I know that this is like, what does this have to do with Spider-Man? It has everything to do with Spider-Man, because without Tim Burton, we would have never gotten the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
We would have never, and not only that, but Hoffman both did the Batman music and the Spider-Man music.
Yeah.
He was from Oingo Boingo.
Boingo, boingo.
Which is a weird name for a band, but he did the music for both. And honestly, Spider-Man 1 and Batman 89, they are so similar in tone.
Yep.
It's uncanny. This was Marvel's coming out party. This was like, this is how you make a superhero for Marvel, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love the X-Men movies, don't get me wrong, but up until this movie, nobody was really taking superhero movies that serious, unless you were a hardcore superhero fan / comic book fan. You weren't taking it serious.
Darn right.
Yeah, and a little fact about Spider-Man 1 is that that originally there's a lost version of Spider-Man 1. You know that, right? I call it the pre-9/11 cut.
Yeah.
There was a trailer that proved it. There was posters that showed Peter Parker / Spider-Man on the World Trade Center. Yeah. They had to cut all that out because of 9/11.
Oh yeah, they definitely had to, because they wanted to isolate that of the events from 9/11 from the rest of the world.
Yeah, so apparently there is a alternate intro or mid-film that was shot. So it's almost the same movie, right? Just certain things that were in the film was removed. I'm assuming they did reshoots. I'm assuming that. I don't think they just shot everything and expect it to work, I think they had to go back and do pickup shots.
Yeah, pickup shots.
Yeah, that's another word that they use. When they don't want to use the word reshoots or shoot more footage, they call it pickup shots. Yeah, so they originally Peter Parker / Spider-Man was supposed to fight, robbers robbing the World Trade Center. He was going to fight them on the building.
Whoa.
Yep.
But instead, they had to make them fight the robbers on the streets.
Yep. The intro was going to be him fighting them on the World Trade Center, beating them up, and obviously turning them to Spider-Man, turning them to the authorities, obviously, or just have them tied up to like a pole or a wall. And unfortunately, because of what happened, more than 20 years ago,
exactly,
they had to cut it out of the film. And they had to cut certain posters. So those posters are collector's items. The early posters or the teaser posters, the ones where he's on the World Trade Center.
Yep.
I imagine that they had Toby take pictures on the actual World Trade Centers on both buildings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was CGI. I think they actually had him take pictures, and the ones where he's hanging on the building, obviously that was photoshopped, of course, right?
Yeah, Photoshop.
They just had, in reality, they just had him put his leg near one of the walls, right? Like that was on the roof, and then they just photoshopped it in post.
Uh-huh.
But those posters, they're super rare,
Yep.
and I imagine that affected the video game too. They
Yeah,
had to
it
change
has
that in
to.
the video game because if they were following the source material, they had to
Yep.
change it in the video game.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey,
Welcome back,
Boots.
Boots.
Welcome back.
Yeah, yeah. I was wanting to make a comment. 13, you were talking about Batman,
Yes.
Batman '89, and Spider Man.
Yes.
Yeah, they were very similar in the way that they were released because I remember, like both of the movies were big, like culturally big, because I remember like when Spider Man came out, like that Halloween, the, the the year it came out, that Halloween, like everybody, like a lot of kids dressed up as Spider Man, and that was sort of similar to Batman, how everybody had the Batman symbol. I remember my brother, he graduated from high school, and everybody had that, like on their cap, they had the bat, or not everybody, but a lot of students had the Batman signal, the yellow Batman symbol on their cap, for their graduation and stuff like that. So yeah, what you were saying about those movies having that cultural impact,
Yeah.
for like comic books and everything. And I know you
It,
mentioned X-Men too, but X-Men didn't have that.
and I like
Uh,
X-Men, believe it or not,
yes, I
Boots.
do
Like
too.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
X-Men, but it wasn't until Spider-Man that
yes,
it was essentially replaying that happened 10 years earlier, or almost 10 years earlier, which is insane. It was
exactly.
so parallel with each other. It was Batman Mania, and then there was Spider-Man Mania.
Yes, yeah. Batman was that summer. Batman was everywhere. That symbol, that sticker, the poster, whatever it was, and then like for Halloween, people dressed as Batman, and it just had a whole phenomenon, and that was kind of like the first Spider-Man was like that.
Yeah.
Just, I
Without
mean,
Batman, without Batman 89, we would not have
yeah,
Spider-Man 2002. That's a fact.
Correct.
We would
yeah,
never have
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
There were
and
Like,
even
even the composer of Batman 89.
yes, yes,
He
Danny Elfman,
composed
yes,
the music for
yes,
Spider-Man.
yes, yes. I heard you talking about that earlier. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yep.
it's
that's awesome. Yeah,
I like that. I like that it's kind of close to each other.
it's like that parallel. Yeah, that a lot of similarities between the two. Even my brother, who's not even a comic book fan at all, loved Spider-Man, which shocked me at that time. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was big.
and you know what's crazy about it? Technically speaking, Spider-Man 2002 is technically a Halloween and a Thanksgiving movie, all in one, and it
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense because nobody's scared that a guy who slings webs, was wearing a mask, and a guy wearing a green helmet mask is gliding in the sky, right?
hmm
Yeah, because it's Halloween. It's Halloween season.
yes,
They
yes,
probably thought they were before he started doing damage. Green Goblin, he was just a circus performer or something like that.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, Halloween and Thanksgiving
Yeah,
timing.
because they were having dinner. Remember the scene where
Yes,
Norman was
yes.
having dinner with Mary Jane, Aunt May,
Harry.
Harry, and Peter.
Yep, yep. I remember that.
They
Yep.
were, and the weird part was like when he was interacting with Peter, he started noticing that he was Spider Man.
Yes,
He had a
that's what.
suspicion, like,
Yes,
why are you asking me these
yeah,
questions?
yeah. He He did. I remember that. Yeah, because he was kind of looking like, yeah, I've got this guy. Everything's matching up here.
Yeah, all of a sudden he goes
Yes.
everywhere that I go. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah,
to be fair,
exactly.
Norman, your son is his best friend, so it's not
Yeah.
really Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
right, you're lucky,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Wow.
it's like it could be because your best friends, his best friend is
Mhm.
your son.
Yep.
Yeah.
Harry Osborn
That's
was Peter's best friend.
yeah.
In
And
the
both
in
of them were nerdy too. Like
Yeah. Look at how young James Franco looks at that.
you know he was going to be Spider-Man originally,
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did know
and
that.
also Leonardo DiCaprio. Both of
and
them
Wes
were
I
Bentley,
considered
did
for the
know that.
part.
I
including
did
Wes
know.
Bentley, who played Blackheart and Ghost Rider.
Yeah, because Wes Bentley and Tobey Maguire look very, very similar to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and even Heath Ledger,
Oh,
who played the Joker.
I didn't know about Les Bentley. I didn't know that. That's pretty
I
cool.
did. Yeah, I did know that. Yes.
I,
Yeah,
I, I
he
knew
was
that the
up
Leonardo
for Spider.
DiCaprio, and the reason why I knew that was because during the era when it was MCM, when it was Universal, they had the rights to Spider Man, right? Because during the 80s and 90s, Marvel was not doing well financially. They sold every film slash television rights, with the exception of the animated series, I think. Depending on the source, like I think the X-Men one, yeah, that was sold to separate buyers. But
Okay.
everything else was like I think Marvel owned certain pieces of it still.
Yeah.
So that's why Spider-Man the animated series in the '90s, Marvel got a piece of that pie for money.
Yeah,
Like they still got paid. It wasn't until they MCM Universal, basically Universal NBC eventually. They had the rights and then they sold it to Columbia Pictures / Sony. In the Universal version of Spider-Man, it was gonna be, or was it MG? No. I'm sorry, it's MGM. Sorry, MGM. It's so confusing, man.
Yeah. Yes.
MGM,
Yes.
yeah, it was gonna be Leonardo DiCaprio, or they considered Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. I
That
did
doesn't mean they
not.
were gonna get him.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, I never heard that one before. So that's
I was
interesting.
surprised when I heard. I'm like, Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio, he's too
Yeah. Yeah.
handsome to be
Yeah.
playing Peter Parker. Like now they don't even care. They don't even hide it
Yeah.
anymore. They're like, no, we're
Yeah.
gonna get gorgeous models from England to play Spider-Man / Peter Parker. We don't care no more. They did because of that. That's why James Franco, he didn't get the part. One of it was because Leonardo DiCaprio said, "No, let my buddy Toby have it."
Yeah.
And the
That's
other
right. They're
reason,
buddies. Yes, they're
yeah,
buddies.
yeah, they were really tight. They were really tight. So
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio was like, "Look, I liked to playing Peter Parker and all that, but I'm like, I want to do something else. I'm sorry, this isn't really out for me, and I don't want to get hurt. But my buddy Toby here, he's okay with getting hurt. He'd be a perfect Spider-Man." So James Franco told the story years ago. He auditioned for Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He thought he was gonna get the role until he driving past him in his car was Toby, and then he knew that in that moment he wasn't gonna get the part. Because Toby looked like a nerd, to be fair, right? He
Yeah, he
looked
did.
like Peter Parker.
Yes, he did. He did. Because I hadn't really seen him in anything.
just like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't really seen him in anything before Spider-Man. I'm trying to think what was he in that was like semi big or semi good before Spider-Man?
I don't
You
know.
remember anything? Yeah.
I always associate him with Spider-Man, like because
Yes.
he did the Great Gatsby, but that was
Yeah,
afterwards.
but that was after. Yeah, that was after. Yeah. I don't remember him in anything. So like, who's this Toby Maguire guy? Like, I guess he's gonna be
Yeah.
okay with Spider-Man, but we don't know for sure. So, and then
Yep,
it turned out
right
it
in
worked
front of us.
perfectly. Yep.
He was perfect.
Yes. Yes. He's
Nothing
still
against
the best
James.
Spider-Man. He's still the best.
Yeah, he still is. I don't care what anybody says. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep.
The
He's a
other
gold
two
standard.
Spider-Men, Tom Holland and oh my god, I'm
Andrew
blanking on
Garfield.
the other guy. Andrew
Andrew
Garfield.
Garfield. Yep.
Andrew Garfield, he was pretty fit for the role. I'm gonna say that. To be fair, as Spider-Man, when he has the mask on, he's pretty fit.
Right.
But
Uh-huh.
the stuntman is really doing the work. Okay,
Right.
the stunt double is doing the work. He's not really doing anything besides pretending that he's shooting his webs through his hands.
Yeah.
Tom Holland is miscast. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. Like if they would have done a Spider-Man TV show, he would have been
Yeah,
a
that
live
would have been
action.
different.
That would have been different. But for a movie, no, he's not.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like the guy who played Superman for the TV show. You know what I'm talking about? The oh my God, what's his name?
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain. He's great for television. I
Yes,
don't know
he
how
is.
that would have translated for movies.
I don't think
Yeah, it's because of the damn shift that took place in the mid 2010s. That we
Yeah,
ended up
because
with Tom Holland.
the reason why he even became Superman was because they wanted to get rid of the Superboy show.
that's right.
That's why.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there were problems with Superman Lives, like we talked about earlier, with
Yeah, I
Nicolas
heard you guys talk
Cage.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there were problems. So
gosh.
that's why they did the TV show as a compromise.
Oh, man. That picture of Nicolas Cage is just.
He looked
that is
ridiculous.
awful. I
Yeah.
just couldn't believe that they thought that was a good idea.
It could have been worse. It could have been Sean Penn.
Yeah.
And
that-
you know, and John Peters told Kevin Smith, why would you pick Sean Penn? Because he looked like he can kill somebody. His eyes say it. Like that's Superman doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Shit.
Sean
he
Penn's a
killed
great
Zod.
actor, but he's not.
He
Superman.
killed, but to be fair, yeah, he did kill people. If it was to defend, people from threats like that, he didn't go. Oh, I'm gonna go kill this villain
Yes,
because of
yeah.
whatever.
He wasn't like Michael Myers.
He wasn't like the
Yeah.
Punisher. He wasn't
Slashing
Frank
people.
Castle.
He wasn't like a horror villain or a horror movie
No.
character. He's Superman.
Yeah. And I'm still in the boat, like Superman crying or getting emotional in this movie. Yeah, there's certain things that I don't like about that, but him being weak and tired and getting upset because he's not perfect. That's
Nope.
that's the thing about superheroes. That's the thing I like about Marvel more than DC in that aspect. In Marvel, they embrace humanity more. In DC, superheroes are more like gods, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
They don't show as much emotion unless it's certain people that they trust.
Yes.
But in Marvel, like Peter Parker, like in Spider-Man 3, he was crying when he found out that Sandman really killed his
His
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. he was
Uncle Ben
supposed
and
to-
not
Yes, Uncle Ben. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and I believe they were.
what was
looking
it?
to-
Was it Dean or Dennis? It was Dennis. Oh my God, what was his name? The guy that he killed in the first movie that he thought he killed Uncle Ben. Oh my
You
God,
mean the?
was
you
it
mean in
Dean
the-
or Dennis?
You mean?
The guy who robbed the wrestling show.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of.
Because outside of him
Never get-
dying,
I
what was
think
that,
he
Sarge?
I think he was. I think that guy's last name was Dennis Kerrigan. Let me see.
Yeah, Carradine, Dennis Carradine. It was Dennis Carradine.
Okay. Yes, the cash register.
I'm sorry, he wasn't that big in the Spider-Man lore, and other than
Yes.
him killing Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
for us to remember who he was,
Yeah.
Yep.
or supposedly killing Uncle Ben. In the video game, right? They made him a gang member of the Skulls, which in the comics they're actually a real gang. They're not called just the Skulls. I forgot the actual full name of the gang.
Oh wait, here's the real name: Michael Papa John. Yeah, that was the guy who robbed and killed Uncle Ben.
Michael Papa John.
Yeah, he's the actor that portrayed Dennis Carradine. Yes, that is correct. He
Yeah.
in the Spider-Man video game, he was a part of the Skull Gang because I think for standards and practices back then, you can't have Peter Parker beating up a thug just because he thought he killed Uncle Ben. So they had to make him a gang member. Isn't that crazy how the video games were in the 2000s? If they just say,
Yeah.
no, he's a bad guy, he's not just a robber, because it's like, why would Spider-Man kill him or not save him? Well, he's a gang member. of the Skulls.
Good night. Yeah. Yeah, skulls. Yeah, those were from those were thugs in the comics indeed. Hang on, let me get back. All right. Yeah, Uncle Ben, one of the most important and iconic father figures of the Marvel universe.
With great power comes great responsibilities.
That's right. That's
Correct.
it. Yep.
And you gotta give credit to the actor as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Robertson.
He was the best Uncle Ben, to be honest with you. Like, he was
Oh,
great.
definitely. Definitely.
He was
Absolutely.
great. He was great.
Yes.
I just don't like that in, especially in the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. I know this technically has nothing to do with the Raimi Spider-Man, but compare and contrast in this reason, um, he didn't even have an Uncle Ben in the
No.
Disney Sony
No.
movie. He didn't have an
No.
Aunt May was his Uncle Ben,
Well, I'll say this.
and
Yeah, she was, but I will also feel like they tried to make happy Uncle Ben. The
yeah, like I could see both of
um
them being amalgamations
what's his
of
name?
Uncle Ben's
What's his name?
character.
The real actor. I, would- I always want to say
I
Vince
think
Vaughn,
it's
but it's
Dave
not.
Filoni.
No,
I think
no,
it's Dave
no,
Filoni.
no, no. It's gosh darn it, what is his real name?
Not Kevin Feige. It's one of the
It's
guys who
one of
were
those
like
guys.
a
Yeah.
legit director.
Hold on a second. It's not Dave. Yeah, it's
I'm
not Dave
sorry, he's
Filoni. It's
Yeah.
hold on. I'm looking it up right now.
because I know he's an actor as well as a director, which is good. He's a man of many hats. He's like
Let's
Quentin
see.
Tarantino.
John Favreau. That's it.
John Favreau, yeah, John
Yes.
Favreau, who's a director. He
Yes.
was happy. Yeah, he was like the Uncle Ben role as
He's
well.
like the Uncle Ben role, really, with gadgets and technology and money. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that they excluded Uncle Ben from.
Same. Same.
I
Yeah.
didn't like that. I get why, because then you'd have to make Uncle Ben like basically the same age as Aunt May or close to it. Like
Hmm.
basically he would have been Ben Riley, like almost Ben Riley's age,
Yes.
close to it, like 10
Yeah.
years shy. But yeah, you don't want to have that.
And they
Cuz I
wanted to
made a
make.
yeah, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Boots.
Oh,
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna say they wanted to make her the hot single aunt. Like
Of
she does
course
in that
they
era.
did.
Ah,
Cuz
finally, guys, our guest of honor is here.
all right.
Yeah,
Hi
welcome,
guys.
Piranha
So
Pouty.
sorry I'm late. Yeah,
Hi,
Hey.
it's
Hello.
hi. Thanks for coming, Pouty. Yeah,
no
Hi, pal.
problem.
yeah. You're just in time too. We're, yeah,
Right,
we're,
where are we right now?
Oh, we're
yeah,
talking
we were.
about Uncle Ben and how he, like OG Uncle Ben from the Raimi movies was really great
Yes,
Yep.
compared
he
to,
was.
compared to
Absolutely.
the other Uncle Bens in live action and him being excluded in the recent Disney Spider-Man movies. I didn't like.
Yep.
Um,
No, I agree with you.
it's just unfortunate that how do you get rid of somebody iconic like that? He is the reason why with great power comes great responsibilities.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
And
instead
without
you
that
give it to
line,
Aunt
would we have
May.
Peter be who he is?
No, he would have been basically a male version of Black Cat or like Harry Osborn with the Green Goblin uh, gadgets. He just would have been. Imagine that he didn't hear that. He would have basically been stealing. He would have basically did whatever he wanted. He would have been like a less evil version of Green Goblin or Hobgoblin with a
Exactly.
little bit Black Cat in there.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm glad that Uncle Ben gave him that wisdom.
Yep.
It's just a shame that he technically, at least canonically, he appeared in only one movie, excluding Spider-Man 3,
Yep.
because they just shot a flashback with, they brought back the original actor to
Yep.
shoot his scenes with Sandman.
Oh yeah. And now we can start the ranking, guys.
Okay,
Alrighty.
let's go.
Yeah. First up, self-reflection. How would you see the self-reflection in this movie with the characters?
Hmm.
And what would you rank it?
I would rank it as the second of the three. You're talking about the first Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
part one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would rank it second.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Pau?
I
What
would
about
have
you?
to agree with that. I mean, because Peter doesn't really get introspective in this one. It's not until the second one where he starts questioning himself and what he's doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, I as much as I love Spider-Man 1, Peter doesn't grow fully. He grows a little bit, but not enough to be like, yeah, he's Spider-Man.
Yep.
Outside of him wearing the costume and beating up Green Goblin, we needed more progression in the character. So it'd be
Yeah, I
number
love
two.
the movie. I mean, I mean, it's like, this is like a 4 or 4.25 out of 5. And then Spider-Man 2 is like a 4.5, 4.75 out of 5. Both movies are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good in their own right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I give this a 9 as well. Now, what would you rate the watchability on this movie, guys?
It's definitely a fun watch all the time,
Hmm.
at least to me.
Anytime I see
Yeah.
this movie, I watch it. I don't care. Like, back in the day, whenever this was on television, I would stop what I'm doing unless I had to do something important, right? And go and watch it because it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Anytime it's on, yeah, I'm watching it. I don't care if it's in the
Like-
middle of the movie. I'm watching it.
It is so
The only
good.
time I ever had pause on watching this movie was after Sony edited the part with Bonesaw. I was like, yeah, I still have the original. I don't care.
I give this an 8. Oh, King's probably fixing his mic. Me, I give this an 8 on the watchability.
You
Next,
said an 8?
yeah.
8?
And now, now for superhero action. What would you rate the action in this movie?
I definitely give it a 9. It was, I mean, just because I'm going back on seeing it again for many years, and I do still love watching him figure out his powers. It's still a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, I would say like an 8.5. The action is pretty good. You know, the Goblin and Spider-Man scenes are upper level, top tier. The Uncle Ben, when he gets killed scene, that's a top tier scene. At nighttime and everything. So yeah, I'd say about an 8.5 on that.
And what about you, King? What would you rate the action in this movie?
The action is 10 out of 10.
Same here. Well, I'd give it a 9 for
It's
starters.
what a superhero movie should be. It's fast paced, hard hitting when it needs to be. Unlike the movie Ant-Man, which, in my personal opinion, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just gonna say Ant-Man is one of the worst superhero movies of all time, in my opinion, because it's
Yeah, I
so
hear you.
slow, drawn out, boring. You can tell that there was multiple directors and multiple edits because the guy who did Hot Fuzz slash Edgar Wright,
Edgar Wright. Yeah.
he left the project and he wasn't credited in the final version of the movie, but you could tell that some of his scenes were in there mixed in with the current director, and I
Yeah.
didn't like that. It felt off, like this movie wasn't supposed to be this way. So
Yeah.
this is a 10 out of 10 for action for me.
Okay.
Well, that, and if I may say, I like the action better in the older Spider-Man flicks, just because it's not CGI heavy. I mean, yes, there is CGI, but it's not like eye-poppingly annoying.
Yeah,
Yes.
outside of safety precautions, because they didn't want another Brandon Lee situation with Toby or the stuntmen, they had to use a little bit of CGI for safety. So they got a green screen and what have you for certain shots.
Yeah, but they didn't go overboard with it like movies now.
Right.
They had CGI, but they didn't go.
Yeah, they
overboard with
didn't they didn't dumped it to
it.
galore.
Wasn't a CGI fest. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to Spider-Man 2 and rank that one. Yeah. One of the greatest. Oh, yeah. It definitely came out in. Yeah. Spider-Man 1 from Sam Raimi came out in 2002. Yes, it did. That's true. And now
Did they delay Spider-Man 1, or was it always going to come out in 2002?
Well, I think there may have been delays due
Okay.
to what due to some of the activity going on at the studios.
Okay, I thought it maybe because of what happened on 9/11 that they had to delay it a little bit, so people didn't think of the World Trade Center when they watched the movie.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
Spider-Man 2, man.
Yeah.
Dr. Ock.
And Doc
Doc
Ock.
Ock.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yep.
That's the one right
Oh
there.
yeah. Yep. One of the greatest villains fought by Spider-Man. Yeah.
I have to agree.
Yep. Alfred Molina.
No,
Spanish
oh,
British.
I never knew who that was. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, he's from Britain. Part Spanish too. Yeah, and
And he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was also fantastic in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was pretty
Yes.
much his movie debut.
Yes, it was. Yeah, he was at the beginning. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Alfred Molina nailed it as Doc Ock. Yeah, I mean, they actually did back then when they brought him to life as Doc Ock. They definitely did the arms really good with detail and physical prop. Just before, before bringing him back about 19 years later and doing them digital. I mean, it's sure they can be a big drag when they go up, when they do go up, when they do have to lift them up with puppeteering strings. But when it comes to the people who designed those arms, it really definitely it's the mark. Yeah, very good. And it definitely took Raimi some time to help bring the fight scenes between Maguire and Molina to life, and enough personal space to help pull off doing the action, which was definitely the best part of the film.
Yeah, that scene on top of the train was just iconic. We'll have to watch that again.
Oh yeah, the train scene that's an iconic. Just that scene is everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they use practical effects here. They could have used CGI.
It won best
The
visual
practical effects worked a lot better, didn't they?
It still looks great today.
Yeah.
That's-
It won best visual effects at the Oscars that year. So
Yeah, and it's way better than the fight against Thanos in the Avengers movies, or even other movies too, because you don't usually see two opposing fighters taking each other on a fast moving train. They would have to hold on and then fight at the same time. And but the choreography, it was incredible too.
yes.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Mhm.
Wait, with Spider-Man 2, when he did the backflip on the dirt bike?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Besides Doc Ock stealing the show, he just does a backflip. How did you do that? Eat your broccoli and you could be able to do that.
Oh, you mean yeah.
And also the Chinese lady playing the Spider-Man theme. with the violent
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that scene.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely featured kids in the movie too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
not just
also this was the film where he just decided to quit. Like he was thinking about quitting as Spider-Man. He just like he
Yeah.
threw the costume away, which is based off a comic of him actually doing that, which is pretty cool. Details from Raimi. Also, Phil
Now I'm
Lamar is in this movie too. The guy who played Samurai Jack, and he was in Mad TV. He was one
oh
of the
yeah,
he was one of
Yeah.
the train guys. He's like, "Come on, Spider-Man,
oh
you can
yeah,
do it."
yeah.
yeah, the voice of Green Lantern, John Stewart.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah. There he
He's
goes.
very noticeable. He's like, "Come on, Spider-Man, you can do it."
Yep, he was right. Yep, he was right on the train with them, and he helped to carry Toby back in. He
Yeah,
helped
it
to
was
carry
pretty cool.
Toby back inside the train after used all his might to stop it. It was quite incredible. Yeah, the tree
It-
scene with him saving those people and how they got close and how they helped to keep his identity a secret. That meant something really good.
Yeah, and it's also cool. They used the anime power of friendship or power of love thing. They used it for this Spider-Man movie. T-
Yeah,
Today, people would say it's corny, but I liked it for back then. It
I
was all
did
right.
too. I did too.
Yeah.
I
I
liked
wouldn't
it.
say that was corny. Maybe I'm corny. I liked it.
No, but I'm just saying that people today would say, "Man, that was really cool," because that was like over 20 years ago, and I didn't care. I thought it was, it was an impactful scene that the people of New York had to rally for Spider-Man to save not only themselves but him. He would have died
Yeah.
too because he was
Yep.
losing his powers. He was getting weak.
yep, yeah. He was losing his powers in the movie.
And Bruce Campbell also had a
Oh
cameo
my
in this one
goodness,
too.
Quentin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bully McGuire. That's what we call him.
yeah. That was in the. Yeah, that was
Magically,
definitely.
his hair turns black whenever he wears the suit.
Yeah,
He
His
becomes
hair
an
turns
emo
black
kid.
and he gets a swag in his step. Kind of like it.
I like the Spider-Man dance. I'm not gonna lie. I know that people make fun of it, but I like the fact that he was coming onto his own. He's like, nah, I'm the best. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I can dance like this, and if it's goofy to them, it's good for me.
yep. Me
Let him
too.
have his moment.
Yeah, and Peter had to struggle throughout the film, keeping his secret from Mary Jane in order to keep her safe from harm. But that didn't go well. Even when losing his powers, trouble always finds a way back to haunt him.
hmm
Yeah, Doc
Also,
Ock coming.
I just
Yeah,
noticed that her hair is blonde in that shot. I guess they forgot to dye her hair red.
Wait a minute, which shot are you talking about? The
The
previous
the
one,
one
or
that
this?
yeah, that one. She's blonde in
Okay,
that.
yeah, yeah. I
And
see.
I honestly believe it was probably due to them rushing, or it was a reshoot or a pickup shot
Yes,
that
yeah,
they did at the last minute, and she wasn't able to dye her hair red again because she's a natural blonde. So it makes
yes.
yeah,
sense why her hair looks off-putting because she's supposed to be redhead Mary
It's supposed
Jane
to be
Watson.
red. Yes, yes. It's supposed to be fire red. Yes,
oh my
I
goodness.
guess they didn't have time for her to dye her hair red again,
no,
so they rushed it.
no, they didn't. They didn't
If
have
it was today, they would have just imposed it in CGI. They'd use AI to just dye her hair red.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's what they would do nowadays, huh?
They just would have just or use like some lighting to make it look red, like they did with Gone with the Wind, where they make that actress
exactly.
with green eyes. Mind you, they had no CGI back then, and they
Yeah,
did
no,
something really amazing that today people are baffled. It's amazing. You turned a woman that didn't have green eyes, and you gave her green eyes with special effects made back then in the 1940s.
yeah.
That's pretty
I got a,
cool.
I got a question for everybody. What's everybody's favorite scene from this movie?
Seen in this movie?
Or favorite sequence or scene? Yes.
No idea.
I like the dirt bike scene. If it's not the New York people rallying for Peter Parker to stop the train, it's the
Oh,
dirt bike scene.
Okay.
oh, it's definitely the fight with Doc Ock on the train.
Okay. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think the whole train sequence was the best part, or the best scene of the movie.
Yeah, it was the best part,
Well, that and Harry
but
leaning
me
into
being a
his
little
dark side
kid
was
back
pretty
then.
cool.
Yeah, and here's Harry. Yeah.
Also, it's also the cameo scene with Norman coming back. Remember that as a
Yes.
hallucination or as an
Yes.
evil spirit? He comes back.
Yes.
They never said what he was, but I liked that they left it like to interpretation for the fans. Maybe he was an evil spirit,
Yeah.
or maybe
Yeah.
he was a hallucination in Harry's mind.
Maybe it was a hallucination.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know that cameo scene, it wasn't supposed to happen. You know that, right?
Right.
He was there. He was walking by, like, hey guys, what's up? Like, because he missed them. He heard that they were going to be filming, so he happened to stop by and like, hey guys, what's up? If you want me to shoot like a flashback scene or whatever, I'd be down for that.
Sure. Why
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
And they said, you know what? No, we're going to do something even better. You're going to be a evil spirit, it's like ghost / a hallucination for Harry at the end of the movie. Saying,
Oh,
revenge
yeah.
me, son! Revenge me from Spider-Man!
Yeah, and and there's another character we forgot to bring up. Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah, he was quite a crackpot in this movie. Yeah, this made the actor very iconic, and it precisely what inspired people who worked on the series Invincible to model Omni-Man after.
I like
And we-
J.K. Simmons. Prior to this movie, you know what he was known for? He was the yellow M&M. He was the
I thought you were gonna say
rec.
Oz.
No
He was an
way.
Oz.
Yeah, he was the yellow. He was the oval yellow M&M. He was like, "Hey guys, what's up, Santa?"
He's
I
the
thought you were
peanut
going to say
guy.
this.
Yeah, he was the
I thought you were-
yellow peanut M&M.
Yeah,
I thought,
That
I
was
thought
his
you were gonna
first
say-
claim to fame prior to Oz. That was before
Yeah,
Oz.
That's what I thought you were going to say was Oz. Yeah.
now there.
Well, no,
there's a-
Oz came afterwards. Also, you know who originally voiced the red M&M? Levitz, John Levitz.
John Love.
Ah.
And then
cool.
he quit or he got fired by the M&M's company, the Mars company, and he got replaced by legendary voice actor Billy West.
Yeah, I know
He
Billy
pl-
West.
he tried originally he imitated John Levitz,
Okay.
Yeah,
and then he just said, "Screw it, I'm just going to do my actual voice." He just gave
Uh-huh.
up.
yep.
So yeah, prior
Yeah.
to Spider-Man or Oz, he was the peanut M&M, the yellow peanut M&M.
Never knew that. Look, I've learned today.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Exactly.
more you know.
Yeah.
Also, he did not voice J. Jonah Jameson in the video games. They had a terrible impersonator.
Oh, they did. I used to hate the sound of his voice.
In the first
He was
two
so
games.
off.
In the first two games, it wasn't until the third game they
Yeah, we finally
actually got J.K. Simmons.
Yep.
Also, D. Bradley Baker voiced J. Jonah Jameson in the PS1 games.
Really?
Yes.
Was that also the same Spider-Man that got ported over to Xbox? Because I had that one.
No, that was actually PS. That was Spider-Man 1, the game.
Okay.
Well,
I don't think the PlayStation, outside of re-releases, I don't think they got an Xbox release.
Yeah.
Outside of the movie
It must have been
games.
a different game then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I remember having Spider-Man, the first one on Xbox, and they had somebody pretending to be J. Jonah Jameson narrating. I was like, that doesn't sound like him at all, though.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah. But here's
Josh
one of the
Keaton was the voice of those games. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarge.
here's one of the most heartwarming moments of the film, when right after Peter lost his powers and had to embrace returning to his normal self. He had to not only was he able to get back on track with his normal life, but also he had to learn some life lessons, even from Aunt May while she was selling while she was moving out and selling some things that they didn't need anymore. Yeah, she had a nice, warm heart to heart talk with Peter in this scene when when they were both outside their house, and Peter was being honest with her that he about what happened to Uncle Ben was all his fault. That he was upset with with the manager for not giving him $30,000 for beating Macho Randy Savage in the ring. That he wanted to get him, so he ends up letting Dennis Kerrigan escape with the money, only for for him to find out later that he ended up getting his own uncle killed. So then he had to finally confess Aunt May that he had never gone to the library and that he lied. But later on, at this scene, Aunt May was proud of him for telling her the real truth. Yeah,
If this was done today, Aunt May would be super angry with him and never speak to him ever again.
Oh, you kidding?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If this was Disney, Sony, she would say, "Peter, you're not my nephew anymore. Get out.
Nephew anymore. Yeah.
yeah,
You're not my nephew. Get out. You're an adult now. You could the money that you get from pizza delivery / taking pictures with J. Jonah Jameson. You can get your own apartment. You're not my
Yeah.
nephew anymore. To me, you're just Peter Parker. That's it.
Yep.
You're not my nephew."
Yeah, yeah. Doc Ock. Yeah, as soon as Doc Ock underwent his transformation, he started turning into a life of crime while under the AI influence of his mechanical arms. Yeah, he and Spider-Man
That's
first.
exactly what it would be.
Yep. Yeah, he was his idol in this movie. Yeah.
It's weird though that he was basically a lackey for Harry though, temporarily, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that should have been the dynamic. I understand why they didn't, because he needed the money or the tech from Oscorp to finish his project. It makes sense in that angle,
Yeah.
but
It
he's
does.
older than Harry. If it was Norman, I can okay, he's working for him or they're a partnership.
Yeah.
Harry, I don't think he said, "Give me that, or I'm gonna drop you 20 feet from this building."
Yeah. Yeah. Harry was still haunted by the loss of his father, and was consumed by such hatred of Spider-Man that all it took for him to that it led him to realizing to unmasking Spider-Man as soon as he was captured, and brought him and it left him puzzled and confused and conflicted, not knowing what to do. Only later, after Doc Ock's demise and Mary Jane's rescue, that Norman's ghost would come back to to visit him, and then Harry, trying to do the right thing, ends up throwing a dagger into the glass mirror his father was in, and discovered that he was the Green Goblin all along. Yeah, that's what sets up the events for the him becoming New Goblin in the third film.
You know, it's insane though when he at the end of the Spider-Man one, right? When Norman, or the Goblin Serum, in reality was tricking Peter, right? Because remember, he was getting his ass beat, like
Yeah,
really beat, like to the point, like if he was a normal person, he probably would have been passed out or he would have died. He knew he was losing, so he played that trick. Wait, Peter, wait, please stop. It's me, Norman. It's me.
oh my goodness.
Come on. I'm your dad's best friend. Come on. You can't hurt me, please. And then he
Yeah.
tricked him with the glider, only for him to be impaled by his own glider. And then
Yeah.
he lied to Harry. And here's the question: was it Norman who's talked to Harry, or was it the serum?
I was gonna say,
Talking
what's
to-
the mask?
I like to believe it was the mask. I don't think it was
Yeah.
Norman. I think Norman died. I think he mentally
Yeah.
died.
Yeah. Norman was dead. Yeah.
Norman was
Yeah.
dead. Like after taking so much of that serum, the only thing that was there was the serum or that
Right.
gas. That was the only thing. So I believe that wasn't Norman. That was the serum telling Harry.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
he
That was the same
killed
thing
me.
talking to Norman, right? The
Spider.
serum.
Yeah. It was the serum. Like he's like, no,
Huh.
Harry, Spider-Man killed me. Avenge me, please.
Yeah.
That's
All
what I
right.
believe. And then by the third movie, you got New Goblin, which,
Yep.
by the way, that name was not good. And it's
Right.
only called New Goblin in promotional material / the video game. It's
All right.
nowhere in the movie he is called the New Goblin. We don't
Okay.
even know what he is.
Right.
As
Now
he shouldn't be.
let the rankings begin. The
Right.
superhero within. What would you rank it for Spider-Man, of course, in this movie?
Talking this one, I would definitely rank this one a 10, just because, like I said before, Peter's definitely reevaluating himself now. He's trying to find his groove as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker, trying to figure out who exactly he is in between both.
Yeah. Same here. 10 for me. What about you, Bootzilla?
I mean, 15. I mean,
Come on.
yeah.
Break it
What's
up.
better than 10, 15?
I mean, this is like, this should be like the standard for like superhero movies. This everything is perfect with Peter and Spider-Man and that whole and Mary Jane and that whole just conflict of this movie is just it's what you want out of a superhero movie. Is this so? Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
if I could go higher than 10, then yeah, 10 plus.
You know what? If the original one I can't make it a 10, I'd say Spider-Man 1 is a 9 and this one's a 10. This one's pretty perfect in my opinion.
Yep. Yep.
It is
And I rate.
it's perfect.
Yep. And I rate the. Yep. And for superhero action, I definitely give it 10 out of 10 as well. It was the best fight scene I've ever seen in any superhero movie. In fact, I can't even tell if there's any other live action superhero film that can compete with this besides Man of Steel or even The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
You know.
He did remarkably well with the practical effects in this one. I mean, how many puppeteers did they have to work those arms? I just want to know.
Yeah. So what you
Yeah,
rate
and the
this?
fact that they use CGI to make the wires invisible, that takes a lot of talent right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what would you rate the superhero action the movie? Everyone. Sorry.
It's a 10 for me
Yep.
when it comes to action. Fast pace, hard hitting, like I said with was part 1. But this one does it a lot better. Like they learned from what they did in the first one and just made it slightly better.
Yeah. How about you, Piranha?
Yeah, I'm gonna go off the rails here and say I'm gonna rate this a 12 on superhero action. Again, the practical effects were out of this world on this one.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember the first time watching it, it's like, how in the hell did they do that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, you're not gonna see much golden era of choreographed fight scenes in superhero movies for generations to come while Hollywood's in its current state today.
Well,
And
no,
how about
Hollywood
you,
right
Big Bird?
now, they're still crazy about CGI. Everything has to be CG, and they've gotten into the uncanny valley with it. Like, yeah, we know you're doing CG. It's not that interesting anymore.
Right.
The only time that you should be using CGI is when it's Superman or any superhero that have those powers / he flies or super jumps. You don't need to, like, even Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. The first 2 movies as Iron Man, they made a special suit for him. After the third movie, they just gave up. They
Yeah,
just
they
said, "No,
literally-
we're gonna do a partial suit and just and CGI it in post."
Yeah. Yeah,
That's lazy. You know it's bad, and nothing against the Power Rangers. I love the Power Rangers / Super Sentai. When they are the only superhero group or team in live action that still use practical suits, that's a problem. Or it looks good. Like the Superman suit recently, it could have been better. It's
And now, yeah,
it's bad. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, Sarge.
yeah. What you
10 for
what?
me, Sarge, by the way.
All right, thank you. And now
You're
for
welcome.
self-reflection. I definitely give it 10 out of 10 because Peter's been going through a lot of struggling with while maintaining his role of being normal Peter Parker and being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And then when he lost his powers, he had to take advantage and get himself caught up back to where he left off on his normal life. And then when it came down to getting his powers back and confronting Doc Ock, he was able to use those powers wisely to save folks too, and to save the entire city from getting sucked into his black hole of a power of the sun machine that was being used to create non to create energy that doesn't give off gas and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that. 10 out of 10 self-reflection. I mean, it's not like it's entertaining. It's more that it's relatable to see Peter's struggles in this movie.
Exactly, more relatable than what you would be getting nowadays in the even from the last decade of the 2010s or even now. The 2000s had it way better with self-reflection in these movies than they do today. I mean, they're all just shortcuts given what fight. Yeah, all of it's just cheap, easy shortcuts. But back then, during the 2000s, all was where all was well earned and well done. So what would you
Yeah.
so and what would you rate this King and Godzilla
Go
Hmm.
ahead, King.
for
I would
self-reflection?
say, yeah, I would say if the other movie, because in reality, the first movie, if we're gonna go, if we were to give it a self reflection, it would be a 5. So it'd be half of this. So it'd be 10. He improved vastly as
Yes.
Spider-Man from this movie, because the first one, outside of him being wearing the suit and being called Spider-Man, he was starting to get his groove in, right?
Right?
He didn't fully get the groove. He was getting a little bit. In this movie, it solidified that he is Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows that the guy in red, silver/white and blue getup is Spider-Man. He's not some
Yep.
crazy vigilante. The only one who thinks he's a crazy vigilante or a criminal is J. Jonah Jameson. Get me some pictures of Spider-Man. That criminal. I know he's a menace.
Yeah.
That's the only person outside of like the villains and J. Jonah Jameson. Everybody loves Spider-Man.
Right.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that when the kids give him his mask back.
Yeah, and they say we'll keep
Yes.
the secret.
Yep. Exactly.
So that
Now-
is the only time. Yeah, go ahead, Sarge.
And now we come to Spider-Man 3. Yeah,
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
I like Spider-Man 3. Go ahead, Sarge. Sorry.
Sure. Spider-Man 3 was the final
But there's
Spider-Man
problems.
movie. Exactly. Yeah, problems that literally led to Raimi's departure from doing Spider-Man 4, leading to his universe into ending with 3, due to stubborn studio executives getting involved and causing trouble. Yeah, it's been going on since Superman 3 when they denied us the chance of seeing Superman fight Brainiac in live action. That the antics of these studio executives had to start spreading throughout other studios within the industry, with all the gatekeeping, the dictating, and all the other crap that's been going on.
Yeah, the merchandise, the toys, the video games. Because I said this earlier, guys. So I said to Sarge was, I honestly believe the reason why they did corporate meddling on this / studio meddling was because they wanted Toby to wear a new suit. Not just a slightly different suit from the first movie. They wanted a brand new Spider-Man suit to sell for the video games and the toys and the merchandise, for T-shirts and costumes. And that's
Yeah.
why, and they threatened Sam Raimi. Obviously, we don't have proof of that, but you dig in between the lines on why Sam Raimi said, "Nah, I'm quit."
Yep.
They threatened him and said, "If you don't do this, we're going to fire you and replace you with something else."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot this one thing, Sarge. In Spider-Man 2, Toby was originally fired from the project. He was not going to come back for it. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was going to replace him.
What?
But
I'm so glad they didn't do that.
But
Yeah,
because Toby
me
was
too.
dating a Universal executive's daughter at the time,
Whoa.
the guy, yeah, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was dating an heiress,
Oh my goodness.
lady, and he convinced the Sony executives, "Hey, come on, give Toby a chance. Kids are kids. Come on, man. Like he makes mistakes." That's basically what he told the executives. Come on, everybody makes mistakes. You got to give him another chance. Because
Yeah, I didn't know
originally,
that.
the reason why Toby got fired was because he allegedly he disclosed he lied to Sony about having an injury when they were going to
Oh.
shoot for Spider-Man 2. He didn't tell them, and I think it could have been during the practice test footage when they were doing Spider-Man 2. He lied and said, "No, I'm fine." I think Sony was afraid. Sony was afraid that he would sue them. So
What?
they said, "No, you're done.
Wow.
You're fired." Because
Wow.
they told him,
That's
are
crazy.
you hurt? Are you injured?" And initially he denied it, and then he said yes. And then they said, "Well, we can't trust you. You're fired." So that's
Yeah.
why the Universal executive, without Toby dating the daughter of that guy, we would have never had him as Peter Parker again. It would have been Jake Gyllenhaal. It would have been basically like they did with Val Kilmer, replace Keaton with Kilmer.
Yeah.
They would have never explained it. They would have continued.
That's
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yes.
So Toby stayed as Spider-Man for the duration of the trilogy, which I'm happy about.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
goodness for that. I can almost imagine Jake Gyllenhaal putting on the suit, and it's like, no.
Yeah, but Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even
that's
explain it.
material.
They'll just act like it never happened. They just say, "Oh no, it's a continuation." And I'm just
Yeah,
glad
they
that
seem to have a
Toby came back. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they seem to have a love affair with Jake Gyllenhaal. Like they just wanted him to be Spider-Man so bad. Like they couldn't wait to get him in that Spider-Man costume.
He could still be Spider-Man. He could be an older Peter Parker, or he could be Ben Reilly. He could still be
Yeah,
a
that's true.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good
He can't be the Spider-Man. He can't be
He
Peter
can't be
Parker.
new Spider-Man. He can't be Peter Parker.
He's a little bit older for that. Unless he's like older Peter Parker, where he's married and has kids with Mary Jane,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
he's not going to be playing Peter.
Yeah, they tried to make up for it by making him Mysterio and what was that? Far From Home.
Yes. Yeah, Gyllenhaal was instead
little
cast as Mysterio years later,
Yeah.
right after Raimi ended his universe with just 3 films. Initially, from what I've learned, he wanted to try to do them as 2-parters, with the villain for this movie originally going to be the Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church, who I've been introduced to in George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
He was
George of the Jungle.
He does
You know
look
who I
like,
remember-
to be fair, he does look like a villain. Go ahead, Boots.
I remember him from a show called Wings that came out in the 90s.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yes.
It was on NBC. It was Thursday nights. Like I think it was right before Seinfeld or after Seinfeld. I can't remember. But that's when I first saw it.
7, 8 o'clock at night, if I recall.
Yes. Yes.
I always remember Wings came on right before I had to go to bed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
used
I would
to watch
sometimes
it.
confuse Wings with Jag.
That
The
was
Yeah.
spin-offs,
Plane
the show that
shows.
eventually launched NCIS as a spin-off series.
Right. Yeah.
I would confuse that with that show.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're similar, sort of.
Yeah. Church was from Wings, and he co-starred with actor called Steven, someone named.
Steven Weber, is that his name?
Oh yeah, Steven Weber. Yeah, who
Yes.
was
Yes.
yeah. Steven
Speaking of,
Weber was yeah.
mhm.
Weber was
Or
also the
Weaver.
voice of Green
Weber.
Goblin of it.
It might have been Weber. That might be how
Yeah.
you pronounce it. Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of George of the Jungle, Sarge, you know, I just realized something. Um, Corn Sweat, you know, he looks like. He looks like George of the Jungle himself.
Really?
Nebraska
Yes,
corn
yeah,
husker.
he kind of does.
He does. He look Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser could have been Superman in the 90s. Not
Yeah,
Nicolas
that too.
Cage or the 2000s.
Oh, no.
We could have had Brendan
Oh,
Fraser.
God. I kind of like
Yeah.
seeing the Nicolas Cage Superman at the end of the Flash.
Yeah.
I just realized Corn Sweat looks like Brendan Fraser. He does. He looks like a young Brendan Fraser from the 90s/2000s.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Not to steal from Uncle T, but I think Corn Sweat looks like the Nebraska Cornhusker mascot.
Yeah. Anyway, Sandman here had a compelling backstory and some drama to him, despite the interference from Sony. He started out as an inmate who was escaping prison, only to then be chased by the cops to this facility that was dissolving stuff into sand particles, and it turned him into a shape shifting sand kinetic metahuman who can also was able to generate. He was able to shape shift with the power of all that sand that he's become. Yeah, and the more sand he blends in with, the bigger he can turn himself into. I mean, you've seen him out of that dump truck.
Yeah, I liked him. It's just unfortunate that he was in, like I said before, before you guys showed up, when I was talking to Sarge, like Spider-Man 3 should have been Spider-Man 3 and 4. They should have split the movies up.
Exactly.
It had too many villains.
Yes.
It needed air to breathe. That's what happened with Batman and Robin. That's why it didn't do well. Besides the terrible acting, of course.
Yeah, I agree.
It had too many villains. That's why
They should've
Batman
split
and
it up,
Robin
man.
just didn't do well. You had to have,
Yeah.
if you're going to have more than one villain, just do two. Don't
Yeah.
do 3 or 4. That's too much.
Yeah.
If you're going
Right.
to have more than that, they have to be minor goon villains. Like in the beginning of the movie, they're bank robbers or something. Or they're trying to hold hostage people, and then the hero goes in and saves the day.
Yeah, and if they were to try to get away with that, they should have allowed the director to have the full extended cut released in theaters, so it would resonate with folks and audiences better. But sure enough, that's not what executives care, because they lack patience when it comes to having all this power, wealth, and protection, and all this ego driving them crazy like animals. Yeah.
Because honestly, Sam Raimi, what he should have done was told the studio basically do what Back to the Future 2 and 3 did / Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Just shoot them back to back. It's like, studio, you want to have all these characters in one movie, you have to let me split it up. Let me split it up so at the end of the first movie, Spider-Man 3,
Hello, Emily.
you have a cameo appearance of Hobgoblin or Venom. And then Spider-Man
Emily.
4... Oh, hi, Emily. Then in Spider-Man 4, you have Hobgoblin and Venom. It should have been Sandman and another villain, like Rhino. Or
Rhino
or
would
the
have
Lizard.
Yeah, that too. Lizard
But I think
or Rhino would have worked.
I think the reason why was because the Rhino was in Spider-Man 2, the video game. I think that's why they couldn't use him, which was ridiculous because the video games, outside of it being extended promotional material, I don't think Sam Raimi considered it canon. And Black Cat was in the second game. Go ahead, Boots.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, they were originally planning to do a Venom spinoff after this movie and then go into Spider-Man 4, I believe.
Yeah, it was going to be a prequel movie, right?
Yes.
Apparently, it was going to be in the style of Alien, the first Alien movie, where like
Oh
these
wow.
astronauts were coming home to Earth, and the Venom serum would have went on the
Oh,
ship and would have killed every. It would have been a rated R movie. They would have
that would
killed
have been so. That would have been cool, man.
Venom would
I
have
would.
killed everybody except for maybe one or two people, and then the ship would have crashed. And that's why at the in the beginning, it gets near Peter's dirt bike. Like a box thing,
Oh,
it lands. So
yeah.
that would have explained how it got to Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would explain why Sony intervened because, well, yeah, and it would explain why the meteor thing was kind of cheap and was kind of a cheap shortcut for them to do. I mean, yeah, and why we ended up getting the astronaut landing to Earth arrival of the symbiote in the Venom spinoff 7 years ago.
Yep, they recycled the original script from that unfinished or unused Venom movie. They do it all the time. They repurpose movies scripts, like El Colombiana, right? Was actually an unproduced sequel from that Natalie Portman movie where she becomes a child assassin.
Huh.
You know that French movie?
The Professional.
Yeah, The
Is that what
Professional.
you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, The
Yeah, I
Professional
know
would
what
have
you're
been
talking about.
Colombiana was it was basically a retooled movie that they changed to not be associated with that movie because it's not anymore. It would have been a
Mhm.
sequel to Natalie Portman's The Professional. They changed it, obviously.
Yep. And speaking of change, when the symbiote bonded with Peter, it definitely changed more than just the color texture of his suit. And it did way more than just grant him super speed and super strength. It made him super aggressive. I mean, if you could look at him shoving Sandman and right against a moving train, and from how he pummeled him so hard and aggressively, you know how it would not bode well for Spider-Man himself when it comes to being everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, keeping people and the peace safe from harm. And the symbiote made him the very thing he was sworn to protect the city against. Yeah, it was still a cool fight, but wow, kind of aggressive too.
It was, he got injured during this fight scene. You know that, right?
Oh, really?
Or was it the one where it was the climax at the end of the movie? It was one of those, one of the two. He thought that he hit a fake wall, right? Like
Oh,
basically a movie wall, a movie brick wall, and
oh.
they moved it at the last minute, and he got hurt for real.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
he fractured his ribs or broke his like a few ribs.
Wow. Okay.
And
Oh,
he,
so
as a
that
trooper, he kept moving on. He's like, "No, we got to
Yeah.
finish this movie."
so that's where he got that back problem from.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
he was.
he got hurt doing this movie, and I think because they didn't want to use another stuntman because it's like, how are you going to do that? They don't look nothing alike. So he got hurt. He got hurt doing his own.
It's just
stunt.
another reason that practical effects went over CGI. Sorry.
Yeah, I like practical effects, but that's why CGI they don't want the actors to get injured.
That they get in.
Also,
Yeah.
the suit, the Venom, the Black Spider-Man suit, there was a different suit originally. They reshot the parts of the movie again, so that it was more than just meddling with Venom being added into the cast and Hobgoblin not really being a Green Goblin or a Hobgoblin, but a new Goblin. The
Yeah.
original suit looks similar to what Venom looked like. So basically, think of Spider-Man the animated series or the video games of him
Yeah,
just
they
having
were.
a black suit with the white emblem on it. The studio
Yeah.
executives saw it and they hated it.
So
Even
they
Yeah.
Sam
just made
Raimi
them
hated
do
it.
the black version of the regular suit.
Yes, they had to make a new costume again for Toby.
Yeah.
And they basically made the black or grayish charcoal black version of his suit.
The charcoal suit. Yeah, that should have been the definite name for this cinematic version of the suit. charcoal suit.
Yeah, because it's not really black. It's more like charcoal gray, or
Yeah.
that's all. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look, or you could call it midnight. Midnight black, but it's like,
Yeah, that too. Yeah, midnight black. Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
true.
they had a different suit made for Toby to wear, and then they had to reshoot the movie again with this new suit.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah,
Besides
that.
the pre 9/11 version of Spider-Man 1, I want to see the original black suit cut of Spider-Man 3. I want to see that.
Me
If it
I
was
too.
want to
more
know
like
what it
Venom
looks
from
like.
the comics, I wouldn't see.
They have
Yeah.
it in the archives. Sony does. Come on, Sony, make another alternate cut. Release it on DVD or Blu-ray, 4K or whatever.
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean, they might
even.
as well since they have the license over Disney. Go for it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
still own the rights.
Yeah.
So I say
Okay.
go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, Black Cat was supposed to be in this movie.
Yeah. But that got removed. Yeah, that got
Supposedly
removed
in
as
the
well.
early drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and
Also, this is the only, besides the new Spider-Man movie, that a live action Venom. That is Peter Parker. That it's in his black suit, not Eddie Brock's movies. The only black suit Spider-Man in live action.
exactly.
Yeah, Black Cat
It's
was supposed
sad.
to be
It's like
played
almost,
by Anne Hathaway.
yes.
Is that right?
Oh God. I
Wait,
hope
Anne
not.
Hathaway. Gosh, look, I'm learning so much tonight.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
what
Anne
I read. That's
Hathaway
what I'm
was.
reading now.
Is that why
Yeah,
she
it
got
says
the part
John.
for Catwoman?
Yes.
Probably, yes.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
God, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not like her performance as Catwoman.
Really?
She just-
I kind of liked it. I liked it.
I don't. No, I don't blame you there.
I'll disagree with you. I
Eh.
liked it. I liked it.
I don't know. She's just playing Anne Hathaway in a Catwoman outfit.
Yeah,
That's all.
I was fine with it. I didn't
Look,
dislike it.
in other movies she's fine, but it's like, come on, you got to have
Yeah.
an extra oomph to it.
Yeah. Oomph.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You need a little boost, and it's like, I get it. I'm not saying she had to be like super flirtatious like the other Catwomen, but come on.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
act like a little bit, like have like the meow, like do stuff like Eartha Kitt did in the TV show. Like if you were gonna go sultry, like hi there's, you do meow or perfect.
I
Just
guess
do
we'll just
stuff
have
like
to
that.
agree to disagree. But we'll just have to agree to disagree. 'Cause
If I
liked
can,
it.
if I can interrupt for a second, Travis in the chat has a good point. Harry's death was kind of weird. Maybe that's just me saying it.
Oh. Oh, Trap. He does make a good point. Yeah, that kind of bummed me. Yeah, and he even. Yeah, Harry can call his glider back to himself, so I think it could have been better. He had called it with Venom holding on, impaling Venom with his sword as he is impaled with his glider. Yeah, magic is father's faith. And I don't get why they had to do another love triangle for Peter and MJ to go through, especially with Harry.
Because they ran out of ideas, Sarge. They just
Yeah, they
ran
did.
out of. They're
Yeah, they
like,
did.
we have to have an excuse why Kristen Dunst and James Franco is in this movie.
Yeah.
We have to have
Yeah,
an
but-
excuse.
Yeah,
It's not just
that's-
Toby flying around with his webbing, kicking bad guys' asses. We can't just do that because we need to bring the women in here.
Yeah. You
We got to bring in the
Kirsten something to
couples
do.
in here to make it a date night.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta have
where
them-
was Liz
gotta have them
Allen?
something to do. Yes.
we got to have them
something
have
to do.
tension.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I've got to agree with Travis on this one. Just because, like, the future MJs, I don't like at all. I think, yeah, there were some flat moments with Kristen Dunst, but she did a great job.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
Kristen Dunst. Outside of her not being a natural blonde, I mean not natural blonde, natural redhead,
Natural
that's fine.
redhead.
She did great as Mary Jane.
Yeah.
and she wanted to be a part of the the series. The
That's why I
other
couldn't
actresses
remember
probably
Gwen Stacy. I couldn't
she,
figure it
she
out.
looked more like Felicia Hardy than Gwen Stacy.
I
Yeah.
just find Bryce Dallas Howard really boring. I'm sorry. That's just me.
You know the
Yeah.
I
photographer
agree
that was
with you
taking
on that.
picture. You know the
She is
photographer that was taking pictures of her and the other girls, right? You know that
Yeah.
guy, that actor. He's a magician, and he was the magician for her birthday party when she was a little girl.
Wow.
So they
That-
meet again in these weird, like she said that in an interview. She's like, "Yeah, that guy, the photographer, he was my birthday magician when I was
Really?
like a little girl." Yeah, I don't know how old she was.
Oh my God.
Maybe
Wow.
6 or 7 years old, probably. Yeah, the photographer.
God.
He's actual magician and actor. He still does magic.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
his name though, but I didn't know that until recently. Like, cool, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Katie would be so jealous if she heard this right now. and I was looking to have the Doolies on, but they got really busy with other things after I had them on for Legend of Zelda. But at least I'm still in touch with them on X and Discord, and things are working out okay. But also Travis makes another good point. It's weird when you realize Harry is kind of the one with the hero arc, basically being the Luke Skywalker of the movie. Peter barely has any growth across the three movies. Well, there was some growth. I mean,
There, yeah.
I'm gonna say he had most of his growth in Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man 3. He really
He
developed.
fell back. He fell back.
Yeah, he went back to Spider-Man 1, Peter.
Yeah.
A little bit.
yeah.
Like basically he was aggressive, he was angry, he was moody. I mean, to be fair, he lost his uncle, so I would be in that situation too. The father figure that I loved is taken away from me. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and this movie is what introduced me to Bryce Dallas Howard, who 8 years later after this one would become one of the two leading redheads for the Jurassic World trilogy. But in between those movies, she played an antagonist in the Twilight movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Wait, really? I only saw the first Twilight, so I don't even know the rest of it.
I haven't
Well,
seen any of the Twilight movies.
Well, Shark Boy is the love interest in the second Twilight movie, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So all
And I
these
think
superhero
Yeah, and
get-ups.
Shark Boy. Is that what you said?
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
Shark Boy and Lava
Shark
Girl,
Boy
the
was-
movie.
Yeah, Shark Boy. That's Taylor Lautner, right?
Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
wolf in the second Twilight movie.
That's the characters' names in Twilight. Shark
It's
Boy,
Jacob.
Lava.
No, it was Jacob.
Yeah, he's
name-
Jacob in Twilight, but he was in the movie Shark Boy.
He
and
was
Lava
Shark
Girl.
Boy and
okay,
Lava Girl
okay.
as Shark
Oh,
Boy,
okay.
and his partner
Okay.
was Lava Girl.
Okay.
From the director of Spy Kids, if I remember correctly.
Yep,
Spikey.
Robert Rodriguez,
Robert Rodriguez.
which he can make a kids movie. I'm sorry, adults. Oh, I don't like watching kids or family movies because they're stupid and boring. Unless I have my kids with me and I have to pretend they're cool. No, you could make a kids movie or family movie if it's done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
He
You
proved
sure
it.
can. Yeah.
He proved it.
Yeah.
It's not just
Yeah, he sure
superhero
did.
movies.
Yes. Yeah, Sam Raimi proved it well with the first two Spider-Man movies.
Also,
Yeah,
you
that-
want to know another cool fact about the Spy Kids movies? Machete appears in that trilogy, but he's not called Machete. He's called by his real name.
Yeah.
He's the same guy in the Machete movies. It's the same character.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
Danny-
that.
It's in the
Turco.
same universe. They're in the same
Yeah.
universe.
I thought he
So
was
Spy
called Machete,
Kids-
at least in the first one.
Yeah, so it's pretty
Machete,
cool.
look out- what does he say? I forgot his line. Look out for Gregorio. That's it.
It's just a shame that Antonio Banderas and the other actors from Spy Kids didn't, reappear as older
Yeah.
versions of themselves. I get why they didn't want to associate it with the kids brand, but it's like they're adults now.
Yeah.
Both the kids are adults. Like, who cares? It's in the same universe.
Yes, and I think you make an excellent point. They should have split this movie in two, because you have Connors. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in the second one, right?
Yeah, he was
If
in the
I'm not
second one.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes, he was.
weird. They could have put him in the third movie as the villain, and then
Yeah,
introduced
the
Venom
lizard.
in the fourth.
yeah, and Sandman is the secondary villain in the third, along with Lizard as the main
Yeah,
villain.
and Hobgoblin and Venom in the fourth one.
Exactly.
That's what they should have done, but they didn't.
Yeah, because of all this stupid hubris. It's why
Yeah,
rich
'cause
people are cursed.
They got greedy.
they got greedy with. They wanted a new Spider-Man suit. They wanted to sell it in toys and merchandise and video games. They didn't want the same Spider-Man suit, so
Well,
they forced it upon Raimi. And I don't blame Raimi for no, I'm not doing any more superhero movies ever again.
No, and that's
Yeah.
with your vision.
Until Doctor Strange, and even then they screwed with his vision by making it
yeah.
a Scarlet Witch movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Doctor Strange mom. All right.
That's Strange Mom. Very good. I like that.
It's like why are you gonna call it a Doctor Strange movie when it's literally Scarlet Witch movie? It's like they had to hide it under Doctor Strange so people didn't get mad that he got shafted in his own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi, supposedly he quit or he got fired. They credit him in that movie as the director, but he didn't shoot some of those scenes.
All
right.
right, that's a
The-
beautiful screenshot right there.
Yeah, Venom. Yeah, from the third Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know nothing against Topher Grace. I like Topher Grace. I think
Yeah.
he's funny in That 70s Show and other projects that he does, but it's like when I picture Eddie Brock, I picture like a buff jock dude from high school or college.
I'm terribly sorry to derail things, guys, but I do have to go. I got another stream I got to get set up for in like 10 minutes.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you, Howard.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks
Oh,
for coming
thank you
on.
so much for having me. I was glad to be here. We have to do this again.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting
Thank
Nice
you
meeting
again,
you too.
Veronica. I'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right, I'll see you guys
Yeah.
next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Yep. Yeah.
What are you
From
guys'
here-
thoughts? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Sarge.
Yeah. Also, from looking at Venom, it almost looks like they didn't have enough time to making the finishing touches on the CGI and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
am.
was
was
surprised.
disappointed in his look.
Yeah, I mean,
I was disappointed in his look, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he you know what it looks like? It looked like it's just, Toby's outfit, just with the Venom sharp teeth and the white eyes.
yeah, Spider Venom.
That's all it is. They didn't change because they probably had a budget that they had to comply to. They couldn't go over budget.
Yeah, and that's what sucks about Hollywood. Being so full of these rotten a-holes and stuff, as well as treating everything like a game. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
treat it like it's a toy or something. Like, how about we change this? Instead of
Yeah.
giving Spider-Man this normal outfit, why don't we just give it a baby blue color in the center with a super dark black spider?
oh my goodness gracious.
That is so true, man.
And then the animators or the director of the animation and the director of the live action is like, no, we can't do that. Why not? Because we already did the costume mock-ups. We did test footage. We can't do that. But why not?
Exactly.
And then the director, oh! And then they just said, because we can't. We would go over budget. We can't do that.
Well, they should have learned to ask shareholders for help with that instead of just being so dictatorial and autocratically privileged.
Yeah, it's. I didn't like that they just because they had the checkbooks they can make the decisions. I get that. When you don't own the IP or whatever, you have to listen to people even though you don't want to, because those are the people that's going to help finance this stuff. That's why the guy John Peters, the guy who was the hairdresser for Barbra Streisand, when they were doing Superman Lives, They had to go to him because he legally, I think to this day, he owns the rights to any version of Superman, live action, animated, TV show, movie, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because back then, right, it's not a digital computer. Everything you had to go to a physical office for the trademarks.
Correct.
So he swooped in when it expired, not a minute later. He swooped in. He got the rights to Superman. So they had to deal with his demands. That's why when Kevin Smith was talking about the giant polar bear fights at the Fortress of Solitude and the giant spider, whether they liked it or not, they had to say yes to some of his ideas because he owned the IP and he had some of the money.
Well, the thing is, though, I don't know if you know this or not, but when Zack Snyder was doing Man of Steel, Christopher Nolan banned John Peters from the set. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I'm pretty sure he still got a paycheck, though, because of obvious reasons.
He still got paid, but yeah, he banned him.
He still got paid.
So he
Yep,
didn't
he
want any
did.
metal and interfere. Yeah.
Because they even interviewed John Peters for the Superman Lives, What Happened, like basically the documentary of what happened to Superman Lives, why it got canceled. And they asked him, you know, to their credit, right, at least they went to him and asked, right? They didn't just have Kevin Smith trash talk him and say, well, these were stupid ideas, right? They wanted his word in of what his thoughts on that. And he denied it. It's like, I didn't say that Superman couldn't wear his costume and he couldn't fly. What type of idiot would say that? Well, if you were on the weight sugar powder, you would think of crazy stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, start bring up Travis's message again because I thought that was pretty interesting. His ranking.
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. No one asked, but here's my ranking of best to worst. Spider-Man.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3. Wow. Across, Homecoming, Amazing 1, Far From Home, Amazing 2, Spider-Man 2 at the bottom, and then or at the second from the bottom, and then No Way Home. Wow.
Wow.
That's a hot take.
No Way Home.
That's a hot take
bad.
right there. Yeah, No Way Home is not the worst. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is second worst. Wow. That's crazy.
I would say Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. I'm not a fan of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, neither am I. That was definitely
they turned Jamie Foxx into a blue jellyfish alien.
Yeah.
They fixed it in No Way Home, which was good.
Yeah, they did.
They fixed it.
They did. It was a lot. It was a heck of a lot.
They made him look human.
Yes.
Yeah, they made him. He was just a human with electricity powers. That was it.
Yeah.
You would have thought he was from some humanoid jellyfish alien planet
Yeah, that too.
that were blue.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fun.
All right. It's time for the ranking for this movie before we call it a night, and let's start it off. Watchability. What would you rank watchability for, guys?
I'm gonna say a 6. You know, I don't hate this movie. It's just, I just wish it was a lot better. That's all.
I give it 7.
Give it a 7. Okay.
I was gonna say 7 or 6.5 because if you're a huge Spider-Man fan, right? And you're like, well, they're doing a Spider-Man marathon of the trilogy of Sam Raimi on whatever TV channel or whatever. You're gonna watch it, you know, like you're not gonna say no. You're not gonna be like, well, it's Spider-Man 3, so I might as well go, go in the shed and clean or whatever, right? You're gonna watch Spider-Man 3, but you're gonna be like in the back of your mind, man, Spider-Man 1 and 2 were way better than 3.
Exactly.
It's like Back to the Future 3. I like Back to the Future 3, but was Back to the Future 3 really necessary?
I think it was.
Yeah, I
better
hear
too.
you.
I liked it better than Back to the Future 2.
Oh, that's a good hot take. I like that. The contrarian. That's good.
Yeah,
I
now
liked my favorite out of the trilogy was 2,
same here.
but that's just me.
Wow.
Yeah, same here.
Favorite? Wow. Okay. That's a hot
Back
take.
to the Future 2 is my favorite due to
All
the
right.
future stuff and the hoverboards and
Okay. Okay.
Now for the superhero within. What would you rank this one, guys?
Well, I mean, if you're going by his, you know, conflict, I mean, I'm like, I'm at like a seven and a half,
I
because
gave it 8.
you give it eight. Okay, yeah. I think the reason why I say that is because there's still some good things, some good qualities about Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and his conflict, and he finds out who really killed Uncle Ben, and and then he's dealing with the Mary
Mhm.
Jane stuff and everything. So yeah, I mean, I would say like a seven and a half on that.
Yeah,
I think I would agree with Sarge that it's an 8 because it would have been a 9 or a 10, but he degressed. He went back
Yes, That's why I
of
gave it
his
a seven and
character
a half.
from yeah, he didn't progress at all. Like he went backwards, and you could say the symbiote was the reason, but there was other reasons. Like for example,
yeah. Him kissing Gwen
in that
upside down.
movie, right?
Yeah, him kissing
Yeah, like
Gwen
he
upside
didn't
down in front of
say
Yeah,
why.
people.
that was
Yeah,
stupid.
like he
I
didn't
hated
say
it.
MJ, look, I saved a girl's life. I think she wants me to kiss her. Are you okay with that? She probably would have been okay. Okay, because you saved her life, I'll make it the exception, right?
Yeah,
And also, not only that, but he focused more on his own feelings than hers. Like, you're a superhero, dude. How can you relate to a struggling actress, a theater actress? Like, oh, I can relate to you. I'm Spider Man. I deal with this every day. I'm like, dude, you're coming off as a jerk. Like
yeah,
indirectly, you're kind of coming off as a jerk. And this is before the symbiote possessed him.
right.
He is saying this stuff and doing these actions. So he can't blame it on the symbiote 100%. He can't blame Venom for possessing him for being a dick.
Right.
It's him, like it's mostly him. So
Right.
he digressed. He
Yeah,
At
I
the
agree.
end he got better, but not good enough. Too little,
Now,
too late.
yes, yes. And how would you rate the action in this movie?
I would say a 10. It still has the action from the first two movies.
Me too.
Just slightly better,
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
budget. But the thing is, the CGI in certain scenes kill it. Though, you can tell that
yes. That
they
Yes.
they went they went over budget and they weren't gonna fix certain things, like some of the Sandman scenes and the Venom scenes.
Right.
It could have been a little bit better.
I go with an eight, just because of that CJ. I gave first Spider-Man an eight and a half. I gave the second one a 10. This one, this one's an eight for me.
And finally, yeah, I give it 10 too. And now finally, self-reflection. Where would you rate the self-reflection, guys?
I would say it would be a 7 or an 8 because he did progress. He did get better, but he went back a few notches. Like Spider-Man 2 was like the best Spider-Man like being shown in the trilogy
Yeah, I
I
give
because
say
it
he
six.
lost a few steps. He lost a few steps. Go ahead,
I,
Sarge. Sorry.
I give it 6.
I'm gonna say seven.
Okay. And that is about it, guys. Thanks again for thanks again for joining me, you two.
Thanks for
And
having me.
Thanks.
you're welcome. And we ought to give Piranha Pout some credit too. Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Piranha Pout. And let's be sure to wish her a happy birthday. We
Oh,
should,
happy birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
well, we're going to have to go to her stream and wish her a happy birthday while she's still going. Hang on, guys. I'll, I'll find, hang on. I'll get you I'll, I'll help you, I'll help you find where to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she just started her stream. So,
Do you have the ability to raid her, or can you do that?
yeah.
You can raid her. Okay.
Yes, I believe I can. Since the Doolies have their mods post links up to help us rate their streams. Here's the link to Piranha Pout's current stream. So if any of you are left in the chat, go check out her channel, and be sure to subscribe to her because this is the very first time that we finally got to bring her on board.
Okay.
Yeah, and thanks again,
Gotcha.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks,
Be
Hank.
sure to check out her stream before we head out for the night. You too, Travis Mitchell, and thank you again for checking out the stream as well. So have a good night, folks, and let's go raid her stream. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.